Perhaps the reason why Joseph wandered in the desert was because he sought to attain perfection without renouncing the bonds of kinship. Genesis chapter 37, verses 15 through 16. Thus the man who asked him the reason for his wandering gathered from his answer that it was his attachment to his relatives and not the fact that he was a shepherd. For he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray you, where they feed their flocks. But had he possessed a true understanding of the shepherd's art, he would have said tend and not feed. The man answered, They have gone away, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. Genesis chapter 37, verse 17. Now, Dothan means sufficient detachment, and so the man's answer teaches one who is still wandering because of attachment to his relatives that it is not possible to attain perfection unless one has fully abandoned all such attachment. It is not enough to depart from Haran, Genesis chapter 29, verse 4, a name which means caves and so signifies the senses. Again, it is not enough to go out from the valley of Hebron, Genesis chapter 37, verse 14, that is, of humble works, and to leave the desert in which those who seek perfection are still wandering. For unless we reach Dothan, that is, attain sufficient detachment, we gain nothing from our efforts. If bonds of kinship still hold us under their spell, we shall fail to attain perfection. Indeed, the Lord himself strongly urged us to abandon bonds of kinship. For he rebuked Mary, the mother of God, because she sought him among his relatives. Luke chapter 2, verse 49. And he said that whoever loves father and mother more than him is unworthy of him. Matthew chapter 10, verse 37. After they have succeeded in these two things, those who have only recently escaped from the agitation of the world should be advised to practice stillness. Otherwise, by frequently going out, they will reopen the wounds inflicted on their mind through the senses. They should take care not to add new images to their old fantasies. Those who have only just renounced the world find stillness hard to practice. For memory now has time to stir up all the filth that is within them, whereas previously it had no chance to do this because of their many preoccupations. But, though hard to practice, stillness will in time free the intellect from being disturbed by impure thoughts. Since the aim is to cleanse the soul and purify it from all defilement, such people should avoid everything that makes it unclean. They should keep their intelligence in the state of profound calm, far from all that irritates it, and should refrain from talking with men of frivolous character. They should embrace solitude, the mother of wisdom. If these people mix freely with the confusion of the outside world, it is easy for them to be caught again in the snares from which they thought they had escaped. When one is aiming at holiness, it is useless to indulge in the very things one has condemned and run away from. But such is the force of habit that they are in danger of losing the stillness which they have acquired with so much effort, and of reverting to their shameful ways, reviving memories of forgotten sins. The intellect of someone who has lately withdrawn from sin is like a body that has begun to recover from a protracted illness. When the physical organism is in this state, something quite trivial is enough to cause a relapse, since it has not yet fully regained its strength. Likewise, when a man has only just embarked on the monastic life, the sinews of his intellect are weak and flabby, and there is a danger that his passions will return, for they are naturally aroused by contact with the tumult of the world outside. That is why Moses ordered those who wished to escape the destroying angel to stay indoors, saying, "None of you shall go out of the door of his house, lest the destroyer touch him." Exodus chapter 12, verse 22 and 23. Jeremiah too seems to give the same advice. Do not go out into the field or walk by the way, for the sword of the enemy is on every side. Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 25. A veteran of tested courage goes out to engage the enemy at close quarters, but anyone incapable of fighting should stay at home out of harm's way, keeping safe from danger by remaining quiet and in stillness. Joshua, the son of Nun, acted in this way, for it is written, "His servant Joshua, a young man, did not go out of the tabernacle." Exodus chapter 33, verse 11. He knew from the story of Abel that those who go out into the battlefield and engage prematurely in the fight are killed by their relatives and friends. Genesis chapter 4, verse 8. The same lesson may be learnt from the story of Dinah, Genesis chapter 34. It is the mark of a girlish mind for one to attempt things beyond one's power, and falsely to imagine that one's own resources are adequate. If Dinah had not rashly gone to see what was going on in the neighborhood, supposing herself strong enough to resist its attractions, her soul's judgment would not have been seduced by sensory things and corrupted before growing to maturity. For her lawful husband, the spiritual power of the intelligence was not yet known to her. Wishing to uproot this passion of presumption that has established itself within man, God said to Moses, "Fill the children of Israel with the spirit of reverence." Leviticus chapter 15, verse 31. For rashly to undertake tasks